SGC here, and we're back for Comics Times. Huck number 2 playing catch up. Wow, just amazing. Really loving the art, really loving the storyline. Have no idea what's his power set, but it's still amazing. I really enjoy the character and what he represents, and now we have a brother at the end. It's gonna be like, whoa, conflict? What have you? Really love the pureness. It's kind of like really, it's pretty different from what Millar has been doing, because pretty much everything else that he's done is dark and gritty or just really intense. This one somewhat is much more lighthearted and a lot positive, so really enjoyed it. Cannot wait for the next issue. All new Hawkeye number 2, we have Mandarin, and definitely an interesting read. I mean, the different styles of the 30 years later and the present day art. The present day art definitely goes back to the whole David Aja last team around, and it's interesting how they try to connect that sense with the Fraction team, and I appreciate it. It definitely is a nostalgic factor, and I do really enjoy the present scenes. And 30 years later is interesting as well. It's a lot more rough, and it's an interesting story for sure, because it brings sort of this emotion from Old Man Logan, but it's not. And this alternate world where Hawkeye Katie is apparently better than Captain America. Whoa, that's pretty messed up and interesting as well. So I definitely am interested to see how long this will go for. Is this team going to stay around for more than, say, 5 issues or whatnot? But anyway, I enjoyed it much more than I thought I would, and definitely staying around until Lemire gets off writing, I guess. But definitely staying for this arc. Can't wait for the next issue. Next up, the Mighty Thor number 1. I am backtracking and grabbing this because I really am missing the characters here, and Dauterman's art is great. Aaron's writing is great. Though this issue, it's just a pretty long thing from the previous run in terms of just coming to terms with Thor being Jane Foster, and then now Odin is still nuts. Nothing has changed since the last series, so Odin has been sort of standstilling in a while, so I don't know what's up with that. Thor is MIA, but it's definitely interesting to see Jane Foster and Thor now. I mean, the she-Thor anyways. So that's an interesting dynamic in terms of where she can really express herself and doesn't have to be all shrouded in mystery and all that. And definitely the ending with Loki showing up is going to be an interesting sort of conflict for sure, so I cannot wait for the next issue. Though I'm pretty bummed that this was a $5 comic. It wasn't amazing in terms of just the length, and definitely didn't really dig the whole extra cover opening. I mean, it's cool and all, but it's like unneeded, and if I could have got a $4 book for this, without that, I would totally have voted for that. Anyway, awesome story progression from the last series, and still great art, and can't wait for the next issue. Deadly Class number 17, holy smokes, it's as if someone watched my reviews and addressed the issues I have with pretty much this book, Injection, East of West, what have you. It's just crazy how the last week and this week, these books are awesome. They really sort of reinforce what's going on, and it's been a crazy issue. This was a ton of action, a lot of people dying left and right, and more people are still going to be dying. Really sort of battle royale vibe, so that's really awesome there. And it seems like there's a lot of potential conflict, and are they going to get back together, or are they going to get back in their own crew, what have you. So a lot of crazy stuff, and it picked up the pace a lot more. So definitely an improvement on the last, say, 3-4 issues, because they have been a drag where he's just wallowing and nothing really happens. And yeah, so I enjoy this issue. Cannot wait for the next one. Gotham by Rip. Oh, I mean, it just says Rip, so sorry. So Gotham by Midnight, number 12. This is the last issue. Guess it just wasn't doing well in sales, so that's it. Though it is a good closure in the sense of the whole crazy epic fighting that we have with everybody involved, and it's somewhat a, I guess, satisfying ending where he's just, oh my goodness, I figured it all out, we need to forgive one another. It is interesting how they use tons of spirit and vengeance here, Though I sort of wish it was just left open-ended, but then again, it's a conclusion, so what have you. Though I really hope that this comes back in some form or another. I really dig, just spiritual, crazy, vengeful spirits, what have you. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's been a good run. Templesmith did the art for the first series, and now the last half of the series is done by a different team, and it carried over well. So that was a surprise. I thought I would have dropped it, but I enjoyed the art style. It really lent itself to the story, and the story got pretty intense and gruesome, so that was cool and awesome as well. I swear this could have been so much more intense if it was, I don't know, just a mature DC, like what, Vertigo, but they need to work it into Gotham. I don't know. Maybe if this was Marvel, it'd be Gotham by Midnight by Max. That would be crazy. That would have been crazy. But anyway, that is it for Gotham by Midnight. Goodbye. Here we go. Fight Club 2, number 8. I found out that there's only 10 issues for this series, so I guess I'm in it for 2 more issues, because why not? This issue was a total mess in the sense of where it felt very... You're supposed to feel confused, and I don't really know what's happening. There's these kids, there's the virus of Tyler, always try to get back in that mindset, and it's interesting to see where it's gonna go, because everything's happening now, though it's weird or awkward to have sperm flying across the screen all the time, sort of thing, and interesting visuals. It did get in the way of some dialogue, so I don't know if it's supposed to be creating that sense of urgency and just confusion in general, but I guess this is a good attempt. I mean, 2 more issues, why not, I guess. Invisible Republic, another great issue in terms of just the whole back and forth thing. We figure out more things that happened in the past that are good tying up into the future stuff, and it's just like more confusion, who's real, and who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. I think that's a great theme that's been like flying through all these 8 issues, and it's just keeping you guessing, like, who is really going to help the world? Why did people change? What affected them to bring them to that state in the future, or what have you? Anyway, interesting issue as always, and definitely deserves a trade read. So if you haven't heard of anything about Invisible Republic, you definitely should pick up the trade. It is a intriguing read for sure, and definitely I would say it's worth your time to figure out what's actually happening. Anyway, can't wait for the next issue. Hellbreak number 9, another fantastic issue. Now we sort of figure out what's happening, and it's death and hell and influence and all the trickery that's happening. Are they going to get out? I hope they do. Is anyone going to die? Who knows? But definitely an interesting issue to see how the hell demons are messing with them, and to really see where they're going, and to see if this hell demon plan's going to pan out or not. Definitely cannot wait for the next issue. Daredevil number 2. So we learn more about this 10-finger guy and all the finger club guys, and we get to learn more about the Samuel guy. I really dig the Chinese aspect of all this, Chinatown and all that. It's just kind of cool to have some Chinese American representation in some comics. Though I wonder how long it's going to last. Is the next arc going to be just him being Chinese and not going to bring it up, and he's just going to be a normal white guy that's a Chinese American? And definitely interesting to see the hand showing up at the end. What's going to happen? 10 fingers, the hand, so many people fighting. And definitely interesting with the art. I think the art lends itself very well to this type of story, which is a lot more gritty and more savage in terms of just the brutality. And this 10-finger club guy is just pretty nuts and intense. So I really love that sort of grittiness behind the art and the colors. And definitely different from the Chris Samney. I'm still saying that. It's issue 2. I'm still checking it out. But I guess I enjoy it in a sense. I mean, it's a different side of Matt that we haven't seen. So it's interesting for sure. And to see where this Samuel guy is going to go, and is Blind Spot going to be a long-lasting sort of sidekick or what have you. Anyway, yeah. Next issue. Bring it. The Spirit number 6. holy smokes, it took them 3 issues to have Spirit show up, and then now it took 1 issue to figure out where he went. A lot of intrigue, interesting stuff. I don't know much about the Spirit like I always say, but it's intriguing and curious enough for me to check it out and continue reading. Eric Powell cover, as always, is awesome. The art inside is awesome. Though sometimes when they show their eyeballs up close, or I don't know, it just feels off and it's kind of awkward, because where's this? It's where his girlfriend or whatever, her eyes popped a bit, and it didn't really do much for me, but I can't find it. But anyway, some of the art at times is like, oh, interesting, in not a great way, but overall I really like the whole tone of it all, and the colors, and yeah, can't wait for the next issue. Up next, Rick and Morty, number 9. Another great issue, crazy Morty action, this conspiracy, a lot of character development in a world where Rick isn't around, so definitely was an enjoyable read, and I cannot wait to see what's going to happen. And I'm not too sure about Rick and Morty in the Void. I mean, it sort of was confusing that, like, boom, to be continued, and then Rick and Morty on the other side. But it's an interesting sort of another character building of their relationship. So, I mean, all in all, good issue. I think the next issue is a direct tie-in, which has been happening. I think the last issue was a direct tie-in as well. So, actual arc. So, that's kind of cool. So, yeah, holding me over until season 3, like I always say. Anyway, can't wait for the next issue. Darth Vader number 14. We are now... Oh, this is strange. This is not part of Vader Down, or is it? It is part of Vader Down, but it doesn't say Vader Down on the cover. But this is part 4 of 6. It was a pretty intense issue. We got some, not some, but a lot of action. We got a Leia sacrifice that was whoa. And then it seems like these dudes in the background are like really planning things out, and they don't really care about Darth Vader. And it's interesting to see during this timeline that there are people actually who aren't afraid of Darth Vader and just see him as a pushover. I mean, in the movies, not so much, but in the books it's inferred that there are people that think that he's not that great. I mean, in the movies there was that guy that doubted him and then he got force choked to death. But to see people who have an actual plan and to like screw Darth Vader's plans over, it's definitely an interesting perspective. So yeah, can't wait for the next issue. It's been a good ride so far. Saga 32, another great issue. I think this one actually was improvement because we have our leads back and they're working together. We've got some world building and definitely just happy ending, and we got to see the other side of their growth for Prince TV or what have you, robot, and it's overall pretty some cool monster designs or character designs. Just generally I'm happy to see them being happy that they're figuring things out and gonna find their daughter and all that. So yeah, 32, cannot wait for the next issue. Pretty Deadly number 7, great issue, love the art, story is intriguing, just dealing with death and finding people and just this setting. And then now we have our group back together and more Reapers are showing up, and I just really love the art, the storytelling. This issue around is easier and I love this splash page and just so much to love because it's just great, and can't wait for the next issue because hopefully there will be more action and some intense action. Nameless number 6, finally. Claws is not really a Morrison book. This is totally a Morrison book. It is so whacked and crazy, and the visuals are just so insane and nuts. Especially this issue is just like, you don't know what's real and what's fake, what is really happening. Are these visions actually taking place, or he's just being messed up with these alien thoughts or what have you. But anyway, don't care because it's nuts. Love the story in terms of just the mystery and the absurdity and just the whack out of the worldness, and definitely the visuals are super intense, and it's nuts because totally did not expect to see just the brutality of it all. But anyway, cannot wait for the next issue. Up next, Chew 53, 7 more issues to go. Oh my goodness, I don't want it to end. But it was a crazy issue in terms of just time traveling, more powers, and their relationship is just really, really messed up now because they can't trust each other, but they need to work with each other to figure things out because life is nuts. And are they going to figure it out? I don't know. I hope they do, because the world's at stake, sort of thing. Art and story, awesome as always. Can't wait for the next issue. Lastly, we have Island issue 5, and we have a continuation of some stories. We got a pretty awesome sort of character sketch of how it feels like to work for the Island crew. So we have Matt Sheean and Malachi Ward coming back, and their part is great. It's pretty messed up as well. The tech and the world and just that. Ooh, can't wait for the next one, which I think takes place in issue 7, so it's going to be sometime later on. And then we have Simon Roy coming back with his, I don't even know what they're called, but it was a great story as well. And just printing stuff and people dying left and right. And oh man, just brutal, really awesome stuff. And we also have Farel coming back with a sort of the sequel of episode 2 of the Chain Letter of Pop Gun War. I don't know what I'm saying, but definitely interesting art stuff happening here. Really love the coloring, or shading in this case, and the story just intriguing and seeing where it's gonna go, and pretty messed up, but really enjoying it. And then in the end we have Amy Claire and Patrick Crotty. I don't really know where Amy Claire did the cover for this series, or this book, for this issue. And then we have Patrick Crotty, who did the ads at the end, so that's kind of cool in that sense. But yeah, definitely interesting. I mean, as always, it is a pricier book, but I'd rather support something like this than, say, a $5 Thor book with tons of ads or stuff like that. Because at least I know this is worth my while. It brings more people together in the sense where we get to know different artists and creators from across the world, or whoever Brandon and Emma meets. But yeah, anyway, can't wait for the next issue because it's always enjoyable. So yeah, that's it for this week's Comics Time. I hope you like what you bought, because it's your money, like I always say. And if you have any questions, advice, suggestions, attitudes, leave them down below, and I'll reply to you or get back to you as soon as possible. And that is it for this week's Comics Time. Out!